appreciate it. Things didn't go as planned, but everything is
Whatever does.
the way that it should be. And that's what I rest assured in. I wanted y'all to think about stories of Dad, that something a special memory that you had of him, so that we could share those together. And then we'll read the 23rd Psalm. That's just appropriate, I think. And John, if you don't mind, I'd like for you to say a prayer once we're done with that. And then as you see fit, and if you want to, memorializing on the beach that we love so much. Since we couldn't have asked for a more perfect day, in my
I
opinion.
know.
The sun is
Absolutely
shining.
perfect.
The water is crystal clear. It is an amazing display of God's beauty, and Dad would have absolutely adored this, I think. I really do.
Especially the beach buckets.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, very fitting. So, let's see. You want to start with a memory?
You know, I'm just going to say that I owe my sense of humor and my love of words to Dad, to Chris, because he loved those things. He loved to laugh. He loved to tell a good story, and he would tell the same story over and over again. Occasionally, a sort of a joke that might be a little off color, which he would laugh behind his hand. You know, he was a kind and generous man who did the best he could, and did it until he died. So, and I would like to say something. It's not an exact quote, but Edna St. Vincent Millay wrote a poem, and it had to do with the beach. And it said that she would write upon the sand her 40 sins, her 1,000 follies, and her 4 unspeakable acts. And then she would watch the calm, tongued tide roll away. So I think that's appropriate today. All right.
Very cool. John, I'm sure you have.
Well, I told a couple earlier today, but something just occurred to me. Is that a friend of mine said recently something about we shouldn't be afraid of awkward conversations, because sometimes awkward conversations need to be had and good things come of them. A lot of times Chris made me uncomfortable. Things that he would ask just off the cuff, how's your church doing? Or how's your spiritual life? And it just made me uncomfortable because it wasn't natural for me to answer and talk in those ways. But it was good for me because it made me think about those things. So I appreciate the fact that he made me a little bit uncomfortable at times. And it was because he wasn't being artificial to gain points. It was what he really wanted to know. He cared. And I appreciate the fact that he was imperfect, but he loved Jesus, and he was willing to say that and make other people uncomfortable with it. That God has forgiven his sins, and that God made us from dust, and it's part of his plan that we return to dust, but not that we return to dust forever, but that he's going to restore us with a new body. And my faults and Chris's faults and everybody else that have made me uncomfortable, those of us that have faith in the Lord, we're going to be restored to a perfect version of ourselves that I don't think we'll recognize in the future. So, that, and Chris is teaching me some construction, some things that he did differently than I would do them, but he taught me to sheetrock. He came up and helped me sheetrock the house when I couldn't find a sheetrocker. And this is in the days of nails and hammers, not cordless screwdrivers. We tried to put some sheetrock on a ceiling 11 feet up, and our shoulders were hurting so bad we both decided to take a break and bend over, and we heard a loud noise, and the sheetrock flew past us to the floor and shattered because we didn't have enough nails in it yet. And we just looked at each other and laughed. He had a good sense of humor, and that was a blessing to me. So that's what I would say today.
He did have a good sense of humor. He was resilient, and he was pretty much the only dad I knew, and the only idea of a dad. Gave me away at my wedding. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in glory one day.
Why'd you have to start that? I have my story already.
Okay.
He told me a joke as the youngest, and having a mom who always said children should be seen and not heard, we better just stay quiet. But he told me a joke once, and I repeated it for Mom, and she thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world the way I said it. So I had my 15 minutes of fame whenever Chris would say, hey Linda, tell the wide mouth frog joke, and he'd go ho 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 ho.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I didn't know it came from
I
Chris.
remember it.
And I'd tell her there was a wide mouth frog, and down to the very last punchline. Oh, is it so? So, and he just laughed because he told me that joke, and so he gave me an opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's wonderful. That is a funny joke when you tell it.
Well, I didn't have much interaction with your dad.
No, you have
I got the
a
one time,
great story.
and it was interesting about the putting on the spot
Yeah.
or making you feel uncomfortable. So when I drove to their house to ask permission to marry Pam, because they'd never even met me, and I just thought, I've got a daughter. I wouldn't want someone marrying
Right,
my
yes, sir.
daughter that I hadn't met. So she didn't know what I was doing. So I drove over there. I think I got the address out of the phone book. So I go up to the house, I knock on the door. No one came to the door, and I thought, good. So I get in the car, and I'm backing out leaving, and Chris comes out of the house. I was like, well, I pulled back in. I got out and I introduced myself, and he didn't put two and two together until I said I'm Pam's friend. And then, oh, okay, so he takes me in the house, and your mother, and then he looks at me and goes, so are you a Christian? And it just caught me off guard.
I can't believe someone didn't warn you.
No, I caught me totally off guard. So are you a Christian? I was like, oh. I said, well. So I went on to tell him I was baptized when I was 18 years old. You know, went and told him my whole story, and but it did make me feel uncomfortable because it was my first meeting, and that's the first thing he asked me. So that would be my
It's a good one.
Chris story.
Chris Christian's story, right?
Yeah, it's Chris Christian's story. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. He meant so much to all of us and to a lot of people that aren't here today. He meant something special to each and every person that he touched. His ministry in the jails went on way beyond anything that any of us know. And he touched a lot of people for glory. And I know that as much pain as we saw him in his last days, he's perfect now.
I got one more story for him.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was in my second clinical, 6-week clinical, when he was in the nursing home and for the second stroke. And that was at Westside. And there was an area of grass, what do you call that, a courtyard, that you could walk the residents past or wheel them past, and it was Christmas, and they had the nativity set up. I think I've told you this story before. But he couldn't say anything. He would nod that he knew what you were saying, but he couldn't say anything. So I rolled him down to the Christmas display, and I said, look, and he put his finger up and he said, pointed to the manger, and he said, Jesus. That's the last word I ever heard him say.
Yep. Yep. That was his focus. That was his focus, and he wanted as many people as could to be saved, to go to heaven with him.
And he loved delicious, weird food.
Yes, he did. Yep. Yep. No kimchi on this trip. Sorry. No kimchi. Oh, that's great, guys. It's very helpful to talk about him because he's alive in our memories for sure. It's been 12 years, and that's hard to believe that it's been that long. But, all right, well, let's read the 23rd Psalm. Again, you can probably memorize it. Probably have it memorized, but I knew I would forget some of the words.
Oh, I thought you did that just for me.
No. Let's read it together.
Okay.
The Lord is my shepherd,
I shall not want.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul.
He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil,
For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies.
Thou anointest my head with oil.
My cup runneth over.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Shall we walk a little further and jump into
You know,
I'm going to walk out.
I actually think people would embrace this.
I don't, yeah. I mean, things happen on this beautiful beach. And he was such a beach bum.
He was a beach bum, for sure. California.